Hi, this is Dennis Keel, the Chief Curator of the Light Factory, broadcasting live from the studios at the Carolina School of Broadcasting. And we're here to talk about Streetwise Masters of 60s Photography, which was organized by the Museum of Photographic Arts in San Diego, California. It'll be on view through January 22nd. Streetwise builds on the great work of Robert Frank, who put out a legendary book, in fact, a very influential book called The Americans, in January of 1960, and he created a new type of documentary photography, which sometimes we call the snapshot aesthetic, sometimes we call street photography. He put his own personal touch into his work, and he influenced all the rest of the photographers in the exhibition. Diane Arbus, Lee Friedlander, Bruce Davidson, Ruth Marion Baruch, Gary Winogrand, Ernest Withers, and Danny Lyon. Danny Lyon, who is one of my favorite photographers and is a member of what they call the New Journalism. He was a photographer that shot from the inside. He wasn't an outsider. He joined the Chicago Outlaws. He basically put himself into every scene that he shot. And we are bringing him here to Charlotte, December 1st. That's a Thursday night at the UNC Charlotte Center City building. It'll start at 7 o'clock, and I hope you all can be there.
Well, we're here talking about the work of Danny Lyon today, whose work's on exhibit along with other photographers at the Light Factory. I'm Paul Cotter. I teach photography at Davidson Day School.
Yeah, I'm Jeff Jackson. I teach film at UNCC, and I'm the director of the NOTA Film Festival.
I'm Tanya Jameson, and I don't teach anything. I just like to consume art.
Tanya and Jeff, I guess one of the things we wanted to talk about today is what makes art and what makes having an exhibit like this worthwhile and worth people's time to begin with. What do you think makes something art?
I'll start off. I think it's art if I like it, if it draws me in, and it's something that I want to sit there and just kind of look at, and it takes me in a different place, and it makes me think about either my own personal circumstances or circumstances of other people and the struggles and challenges that other people are going through. But I think it's art. It's if I like it. I think we get so caught up in this idea that art has to be something that's really deep, and you have to really think very hard about it, and it's abstract and you don't understand it. And I think we need to get back to this kind of sense of just appreciating the beauty of what we're looking at and not trying to overthink it.
Yeah, I think we understand much more about art than we give ourselves credit for. That I think people have a real good intuition of what's art, what's valuable about art, when something really interests them, and they often sort of second guess their instincts, thinking that, oh, I didn't understand it, or there must be something more that I'm not getting. One of the things for me that makes art interesting is something that has a possibility to sort of haunt you, that you want to keep looking at it, that it keeps staying in your mind. And I think these Danny Lyon photographs really do that very well. I mean, for instance, the shot of his that I was looking at, this Sparky and Cowboy, these two bikers from the 60s he took these shot of. And when you look at it, it's sort of a very simple portrait of these two men, but the longer you look at it, the more you see in there. The way they're posed for the camera, the way they're sort of interacting with the camera, the way they're interacting with Danny. It really sort of speaks a lot about them and a lot about, obviously, the relationship Danny must have had with these two men.
I just like their attitude in that shot, too. They just look like, we don't care. And I love the attitude that they sort of just kind of gave off, like this sort of bad boy persona.
Yeah, I agree. I think you guys had good points, great points about what makes art, too, about touching us on some level. I think a lot of what we gets fed to us in movies and everything else at kind of the lowest common denominator of sex and violence, which may be exciting but doesn't really stop or make us think, and you don't think about it a day later. I think art touches you on some level, and photography in particular, you're taking your camera and pointing it at some little slice of the world, and I think the best images will make you stop, they'll make you laugh, make you smile. In some cases, Danny's photos of the civil rights movement maybe make you angry.
Yeah, they definitely do, and I think they illuminate as well. I mean, one of the shots that really struck me from when you talk about that era was the prison shot where they're in the cotton field. And when I saw it initially, I was immediately thinking it was a much older shot, like more, Jim Crow, post-Civil War sort of era. And then once I read and I realized that, this is a 60s shot, and then it brings you back to today and the situations we have now with so many young black men who are in prison and who are basically being used as prison laborers. So even though this is from the 60s, it's still relevant today.
I love the fact that he set out to personalize the people in his images, whether prisoners or motorcycle gangs, which he became a part of. That he wanted to kind of take down the barriers and make the people show them that motorcycle gangs, they're people like us. It's a different lifestyle, but they're like we are.
Yeah.
Well, they're part of America, and that's, I think, a lot of the photographers in Streetwise. That's what the outer fringes. People we don't know, people we maybe don't want to know, but they are all part of America, and they should be known. People should see and know what they're doing. So.
What I like about the photographs is they're not just, there's a journalistic aspect to it, and he's documenting a time, very specific time and place and specific people, but they really feel very personalized. Like, it never becomes didactic. It never becomes just about a message. It really becomes about these very specific people, these very specific circumstances, these very fleeting moments that he captures and really honors that.
There was an image of his that I kept going back to, the Scrambles track. And you think of these big, tough bikers and the tough life, and it almost looks like a Sunday picnic. We're looking across the fence, and they're kind of gathered around, and there's that nice little circle and the dust rising up there, this ethereal light, and it just gives a whole different perspective to that. And I also thought it interesting that we're looking across the fence like we're outsiders, and his whole work is really about bringing the fences down between us and people.
And a lot of his work, too, just sort of, to me, speaks a lot to a brotherhood, especially when you're looking at the motorcycle gangs and you're looking at Scramble, and then the little piece with the Uptown Chicago, those four boys who are just looking like, whatever the world has to offer, we can take it on and we can handle it. But there's a sense of brotherhood among those kids. And you see that, to me, in a lot of his images, that sense of, we see these people as being on the outer fringes and on the outskirts and people we don't want to associate with, but they're family to each other.
That's a great point.
And we look at how we define family. And, this is family for these people in these photos, and I love that.
Yeah, the prison photos too. You get that
right,
sense as
definitely,
well.
Definitely, because you want to write them off, and then he brings you in, and it makes you think, okay, you can't make these assumptions about people who are locked up. So I love it.
Well, looks like that's all the time we have for today. The best thing we can tell you is go and see the show for yourself and see these and a lot more images. The work of Danny Lyon.
Streetwise Masters of 60s Photography, organized by the Museum of Photographic Arts in San Diego, will be on exhibit at the Light Factory through January 22nd. The Danny Lyon Lecture will be Thursday, December 1st at the UNC Charlotte Center City Building, which is on the corner of 9th and Brevard. It will start at 7 p.m. Admission is $5 for general audiences, free to the members of the Light Factory and students with a student ID. For more information, go to our website at lightfactory.org.